Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bleeding Blue Podcast. We have a special episode here for you today. No, as you can see, there's no Ryan Holmes here because he is not a fan of soccer, as you could tell from past episodes. But here we have a returning guest, Nolan, who's been on for multiple pods,
Yes, sir.
specifically for hockey, but this time it's for soccer. Welcome, Nolan, again.
Thank
And
you very
then
much.
we have Aiden, who is a friend of mine from uni. He's also a mutual friend with me and Ryan, so he's a big soccer guy as well. So welcome on to the pod, Aiden, for the first time.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, so this is going to be an exciting one. Obviously, World Cup is the biggest event in in the world, in world television, literally anything you can think of. It's the most popular thing in the world, and there's a lot of headlines because obviously it's here in Canada this year, also in the U.S. and Mexico. So in North America, it's a pretty big storyline in the next week that we're coming up with. So I just wanted to bring up some quick headlines that obviously that we can talk about. So one of them I can obviously think about is Toronto hosting. So just from an hour away from each of us, there's going to be World Cup matches going on, which is insane. Um,
Yeah.
what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this buzz that's going on? Around Toronto and the fact that we're going to be hosting games here in our country.
Dude, it's electric. It's gonna be unreal. Like Toronto, the only issue is though, Trey, you're not gonna be able to make it a kilometer through Toronto in a day. You're gonna be stuck there for the entire day. But it's awesome. It's awesome to see soccer growing a little bit more in Toronto and Canada, especially because it's not really one of those sports that we pay enough attention to. So it's good to see for sure. But good luck getting through Toronto.
Right. And what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's great. I feel like it's like you said, it brings more exposure to the game. I think, I have many friends who've already kind of asked me like more questions about the sport and really just about clubs in general, not just the national team. So I think this has already been a great success in getting more eyes on the competition.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
wholeheartedly agree. I have the pleasure of actually going to a game in Toronto. I'm going to be watching my home country, Croatia, play against Panama. So that's going to be really cool to watch and see what the atmosphere is like with all the fans traveling from around the world to come watch here. Um, Another thing I think we have a mutual respect and agreement on is that we're all going to be Canada fans in some regard, regardless if our other teams don't succeed. I think everyone's going to be a watcher of this Canadian team playing a game in Toronto, their first game ever on home soil in a World Cup against Bosnia. And then they have two other games in Vancouver against Qatar and Switzerland. One main headline that has been talked about for the past few months is Alphonso Davies and his injury. Obviously, he is um, the most important piece to this Canadian team. And without him, as you can see, I don't know if any of you watched that friendly against Uzbekistan a couple days ago. They were not good. They did not
It's
look very good
terrible.
without him.
Yeah.
And they played majority of their starters for about a third of the game, 2/3 of the game, I want to say. And they just did not look good against a Uzbekistan team who obviously this is their first World Cup they're entering into, and they didn't look very good either. So they were both struggling, and they only ended up winning 2-0 in that game. So just the thought of not having Alfonso in that squad is going to be a struggle, especially with a group like with Qatar, Switzerland, and Bosnia, who obviously a couple of those teams have been in World Cups before and have experience, but I don't know. I think this is Canada's best opportunity compared to last World Cup where they had to deal with Croatia and Belgium and Morocco. So, what are your guys' thoughts on uh, how Canada will deal with this injury with him not playing even in the first game?
I mean, first and foremost, I'd like to think that at least there's a chance that he might be back for the rest of the games. That in itself would be a great help. Bosnia is a team that it's definitely a team to watch out for. We can maybe get away with something there, but it's definitely a team we got to look out for. I think the biggest team we have to look out for is definitely Switzerland. They're probably, if we can get anything off the game, it's the one to one, and the Qatar is must win.
Mhm.
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong there, McCabe, but we're also missing Alistair Johnson, right?
I believe so. Yes, I didn't see him playing
Yeah.
in that game,
So
so that's also another big loss.
that's a
I
big
think
loss.
he I
That's
think he
just
played a little bit. I think he played a little bit in that first half in the friendly, but he's one of the more successful players on that Canadian team. Obviously, winning titles with Celtic and in the
yeah,
Scottish League,
just won
um,
it.
and obviously Jonathan David and Kyle Larin are the other two that you could really talk about in that Canadian attack, but. Yeah, but Alfonso Davies is easily the heart of the team, and
Oh,
he's obviously struggled with injuries the last few years of his career. So hopefully they don't rush him into it.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
obviously very vital to this team. So even if he just gets subbed on for the last two games of that group, it would be a big help, and hopefully they get past that group stage for the first time ever. And obviously the first goal is just to win a game. They haven't even
Yeah.
won a
Yeah.
game yet. So hopefully they can get over that hurdle and win that game. Um, is there any
But yeah,
other
there's
is there any other headlines you guys wanted to talk about in terms of what is to look forward to for this World Cup?
well, I would like to also just say there, like, there's such a big opportunity for Canada here because with this new World Cup format, you've gone from having, you know, a very slim chance of, there's a slim chance of qualifying, and then you got to battle to even make it to the group stage. There's kind of Canada's being given the opportunity to play in a World Cup where there's a lot more teams, which means a lot less skilled teams. Like, you know, not to rag on any teams, but especially like a team like Uzbekistan. Like they are not, when you think top dominating teams in soccer, there's never any thought behind that country, as well as like there's just a couple other teams there that you can even see it within Canada's group, where if you saw a group where it was Canada, Switzerland, Qatar, and sorry, who's the fourth team there? I'm blanking.
Bosnia.
Bosnia.
Bosnia. Oh, the Italian killers.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but like you look back 8 years ago, you'd never see a group that has that much opportunity for a country that maybe isn't so focused on soccer. So it is a really big opportunity here for Canada because they are in a position where they aren't having to play giants like England, France, Spain right out of the
Mhm.
gate. They're really getting that
Yeah.
opportunity to toss their hat in the ring for maybe a decent run in the past the qualifiers.
Yeah. Aiden, what do you think about that? I think I agree.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is like this is like night and day compared to the last World Cup. Like if we ever wanted a chance, this was it. Like some of these games you maybe can argue which games are the must wins and which ones are the ones where maybe we'll have to get a little lucky. But I think the last Copa America was like a good showcase that like this
Mhm.
team can go far and we can do some good things out here.
Yeah, like they played Argentina a couple times in that Copa America, and they showed some fight in those games, and obviously they made it to the final of that Copa America, which was really exciting and great for the game here in Canada. I thought that was a great stepping stone into what could happen in this World Cup. And obviously, like you mentioned, Nolan, this group that they have is a great opportunity for that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get first or second in this group with how these teams they're facing up against. Obviously, Switzerland's pretty strong, and they've had pretty good experience in Euros and World Cups in the past. But in terms of who they could have gone up against, this is their best opportunity being a Pod A team in that draw. So
For
let's
sure.
back into that conversation of groups. Let's just quickly run through these groups that we have. Obviously, we mentioned moving from 32 teams to 48 teams now in the World Cup, which is an extra 4 groups of teams. So, like we mentioned with Uzbekistan joining and other teams that are new, like Curacao, um, Cabo Verde, like all these teams that are new to the World Cup. it's very cool to see. It's also eye-opening to see some new players that could possibly make their way onto big teams. It's a good opportunity for those players to showcase their skills. So, yeah, very very interesting to see what these groups come out. But let's start off with Group A here. I personally think this group is probably going to be the hardest group to determine who goes
Yeah.
through. I think all four teams in this, Mexico, South Africa, Korea, and Czechia, I think these four teams are very evenly matched in terms of their skill set and the people that are on each team. I think this is very, very even. I honestly have no clue who's going to go through in this group. I think obviously Mexico, with having 3 home games, is definitely the favorite. Um, with that team, and they're usually pretty successful in World Cups as well. They struggled in the Copa America a couple years ago, but I think starting off with the first World Cup game against South Africa, which is like a rematch of 2010
Yeah.
with South Africa, which is pretty cool to see that they get to play another opening World Cup game. Um, but I think Korea and Czechia are just as strong.
Yeah.
Korea's got Heung-min Son's probably going to be his last World Cup, maybe, depending on how healthy he stays. And then obviously Czechia, who qualified in the playoffs in March. They're a pretty strong team too. They got some good players as well. Very underrated squad. So what do you guys think? Who do you think will be the top 2 in this group?
I would think, I think maybe in years prior, I think, the South Korean team is definitely very impressive, but I do have questions on, you know, can, you know, can the rest of the team bring it together? We know Gilman Son is a very talented player, but the rest, I do have questions about maybe the rest of the talent behind him. So I think as a whole, I would maybe have edge Czechia to get past the group. So them and Mexico, I'd say, are the top two. Are the favorites in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that too, right? Like the just the depth on Korea just isn't, it's not what you'd like it to be, right? There's not, you have Sun obviously, but then you need, another 10 players around him that can provide good, strong soccer. And I can't see Korea making out of the group stage. That being said, upsets always happen. I'm about to predict all the teams I think are going to go through. There's
Mhm.
definitely going to be some dark horses that make some waves. So it could happen. I do think though that South Africa is such an underrated country, and really just I don't think people are really expecting them to go far. So for that reason, I do think that it'll be Mexico and South Africa.
I like that. I do like that. I think Czechia. I do like Mexico and South Africa, and then I think Czechia gets that third spot.
For
Just with the
sure.
European experience and them playing against better teams compared to the other three squads. I think they just have um that undeniable experience that they can provide in this World Cup. So I'm gonna give them Czechia to squeeze in. I don't know how exactly it works with the third place teams, because I know some third place teams will make it through. I think it just depends on goal difference, but
Yeah.
Czechia might make it through to
It'll
the round of
be
32.
it'll be points too for sure. And honestly,
Hmm.
looking at a group like that, like I'm expecting to be seeing a lot of low scoring games and a lot of games that are either like I truly think that it's going to be a lot of Mexico might go beat Czechia, and then Czechia will go beat Korea, and then Korea is going to go beat Mexico, kind of thing. I think it's
Right.
going to be such a tight group that I think that your highest points are maybe going to be 6, maybe 7, 2 wins and a draw. But
Right.
I can also
Yeah.
see, the second or third team in that group still having, call it, 4 points in a third seed, and Czechia could definitely get through because there's so many groups that are going to be so much harder and so much less balanced, that if Czechia can find 4 points, or even a Korea or a South Africa, and sit in that third seed, I think you'll definitely be able to find the next round there.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. This would definitely be one of the tighter groups.
Oh,
And
for
the group
sure.
you were just mentioning is the next one. We got Canada, Bosnia, Qatar, and Switzerland. I'll start it off here quickly. I do think Canada moves on, but I don't think they win the group. I think Switzerland is just too strong of a team. I think Canada will lose that game. I believe it's their third game. Even with Davies probably back, I think they lose that game, just of how this team is in form right now. I think Canada probably gets second, and then Bosnia third. Qatar just doesn't really have much of a chance in this group, I don't think.
No, you know what? I think that the one thing that Qatar did have in 2022 was home field advantage. I think that that's definitely something that pushed
Mhm.
them to look a little bit better than they maybe are as a team. But yeah, I think you're right on the money there. Like I can't see Switzerland falling anywhere below 2, but I can't see Switzerland not being the first seed in that division
No.
or in that group. Sorry, like
Yeah.
it's just the talent levels. Like you can confidently say that Switzerland can put out a team that every single one of them can play at a high level of soccer. Whereas there's teams like even Canada, you know, you've got your Davies, your Davis, your Johnston, all those kind of guys. But your issue is there are a couple of holes there that maybe aren't going to be as strong in some aspects. But honestly, like to see Canada go through, like I do think that just like I said with Qatar there, I do think that being at home is going to be huge boost because Canadian fans,
Mm.
it doesn't matter what sport you're watching, whether it's hockey, lacrosse, soccer, or table tennis, they take it
Yeah.
seriously. Canada
Yeah.
shows up
Yeah.
for their team, so I think that that'll be a big boost for sure too. Just the energy in the building will help Canada get maybe a couple more goals.
Yeah, and your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, to be honest, I would really, I guess my only thing I can really add is that, I think we're all kind of a little bit worried, the Italian killers, we got, Bosnia is definitely not someone we can really overlook. So they're definitely the ones that we got to, probably the ones we got to look out for the most, really, because whatever how they play in the other games is really going to really impact our finish.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And obviously that game without Davies is going to be really tough. But I think, like Purdy mentioned with that crowd, man, I think BMO Field's going to be rocking for Canada's first game. So we'll see how it goes. But I do like Canada moving on.
Yeah,
Group C, I think this is pretty obvious on who's going to move on. The two powerhouses of Brazil and Morocco, with Haiti and Scotland out as well. I think this is one of the more um, easier groups to predict. I think Haiti, obviously, with their first World Cup appearance. I don't know. I don't know.
what do you think, Aiden? What do you think?
I listen. I think Scotland got something in them. I think they can do something here.
Oh, okay, okay,
Hey,
okay.
But
Ryan, what do you know about a little bit of Scott McTominay football in there?
He
what do you
is.
know
Yeah, I know.
about
I knew
that?
you guys were gonna
He's
say something.
proper. He's proper. Former United legend. But
Yes.
yeah, I can agree with Brazil and Morocco for sure. Like, Morocco in the past couple years has really picked it up. Like,
Yeah.
10 years ago, we're sitting here talking about soccer. Like, it's just Morocco's not in the conversation there. But they put on a crazy performance a couple years ago in Qatar, and honestly, I can see them having a good run even after the group stage. They're definitely a team that you can't sleep on because they're going to make more of an impact than people think. And then obviously, Brazil. Great to see that Neymar's in for his final World
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got the three greatest footballers of this generation back in. You got Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar in that order. And I think that Brazil's going to have a good run, and I think it's probably going to be due to obviously they have unreal players, but
Mhm.
you're going to want to make a good push with Neymar being in his last ever World Cup, right?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I just like people aren't really confident in this Brazil team that Ancelotti has picked for his first time coaching them. I don't I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think Brazil, it's the World Cup thing. Brazil's always going to be good, regardless of who the team is. And also you have Ancelotti, who's just one of the best managers in football history. Like, but come on,
Yeah,
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 I
Yeah,
really do not disagree. I really disagree with that take. Um,
yeah, for sure.
and
I
when it
do
comes to
think
like
and
though.
man management, like he's like second. He's like there's no one better than him. Like I think he'll
yeah,
definitely like be able to get the Brazilians going. Like he's
Yeah,
already have like a pretty good relationship with quite their core members.
yeah.
mhm,
I will say though that one big loss for Brazil in terms of the starting 11 and having the depth and strength later on through the rounds is missing Rodrigo is a big loss there
mhm.
with that
Yeah,
ACL injury. Like that's just one of those players where you can't replace a guy like him. Like he's been for at least the past couple of years, he has been a standout player, and hopefully Ancelotti's kind of found some players that can step in and make an impact like he does. But that's a big loss for Brazil for sure. So we'll have to see later on in the tournament how that affects them. But I'm not too worried. Like such a good manager, and honestly, with a group like that where you're gonna get a bit of competition, but still gonna dominate it. Like I think after the first three games of that group, you'll be able to tell whether Brazil's going the distance or not because it's all about the Ancelotti ball there.
Yeah, and I think another player who I'm going to be looking for on that Brazilian team is Endrick. I think he's been in really good form
Yeah,
recently at Lyon on loan. He's been really good. But I think a player they're missing is my boy João Pedro. I think they should have got him on that team. And you guys can agree with me, I think, even though you guys are not a fan of me talking about Chelsea players, but I think João Pedro has been really good this year, really good signing for Chelsea, and I think he deserved it. I think he deserved the call up um, for the team, but it is what it is. But I do think Endrick is going to be a real big part of that Brazilian team with Rodrigo out.
you wait until we get to Group L. I'll start talking about some more Chelsea players that got
Yeah,
snubbed
yeah, yeah.
because God, I think that just there's been especially there were just too many Chelsea guys that just didn't. Well, not too many, but there were a couple Chelsea guys that have been in good form despite the team's lack of skill this year. Because it's really been
Yeah,
a tough year for Chelsea. Man, you went through it a couple years ago, the same thing. But
yeah,
despite the way that Chelsea has been this season, Pedro and one other fella that I'll get to later,
yep,
they've been too good to be missing out on this World Cup for sure.
yeah, yeah.
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 From what I've heard, like the main like reason why he wasn't included was really just like for a club he was great. It just like in for country it just didn't translate as well. That was like what I was
Okay.
told was like the main reason why he wasn't selected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fair
All right,
enough.
let's move on to Group D here. This is an interesting one. We got the United States, another host country, with Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. This is another one of those weird groups that like literally anyone could go through. Um, Aiden, let's start it out with you. What do you think about this group here?
You know, I think you definitely can't underestimate. We're talking about playing on home soil, so you definitely expect the U.S. to play their heart out. But in Australia, I think they've shown in previous tournaments that when it comes to it, they can show up in big moments, and definitely get a couple, steal some points when you definitely don't think they can. And Turkey, Turkey as a whole is just they're their whole team as a whole, like their depth, it's amazing, man. I would definitely say, like, I think I could say with probably with my, despite being maybe on national soil, I think I could probably say that Turkey may be my favorite to get through this turn, get through here. I don't know if
Hmm.
that's maybe crazy to say.
No, not at
Uh,
all. I actually this is a little early thing, but I think I have Turkey as my dark horse for this World Cup. They got a really young team. They performed really well in the Euros. I have a suspicious feeling about this team that they can do really well against a team like the U.S. who have not looked good. Recently, and I just don't feel very confident in them. And Paraguay, I don't know too much about, but I know they've had some good history in the World Cup. They haven't made the last few, but I don't know enough about them. And then Australia is always in the mix. You know, and anything could happen with them. But I think Turkey's the strongest team in this group out of the four, despite US being the host team and having home field for the whole tournament. I just think Turkey's just really strong. Purdy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head there. I think that in a group with that level of strength, because it's not a group that you look at and go, wow, like this is the hardest group. I'd say they're kind of similar to maybe a group A where it's a lot of very even teams, but I do think that Turkey kind of just shows up a little bit more than the rest of that group there. I think that, I won't go too into depth about it because I've got some players in my back pocket that I'll be bringing up later. But, like Turkey's just such a strong club, and being put in a group with USA, Australia, and Paraguay, like it sucks, but Australia just doesn't seem to like it almost seems like in competitions like this, their back line falls apart a little bit and you see score lines like 3-0, 4-1. Like they
Mm-hmm.
just they don't have a strong enough back line. They've got some strong enough players, but just not enough to get them through this group, I don't think. And then yeah, like Aiden said, being in the States, it's gonna be one of those things where US is gonna get a bump from the crowd, but I
Mm-hmm.
also don't think USA is that bad of a team. Like they've got enough they've got enough players, and I think they've really grown in the last couple of years. As much as I'd like to sit here and tell you that Canada's forever better than the States at every single sport, because we are. I do like in this World Cup with the strength of the States roster versus Canada, like I would favor USA in that match, and for that reason, I do think that the States can take Australia and Paraguay for sure, but Turkey comes out of that group.
I think that's a pretty consensus idea there. Next group, we have Group E with Germany, Curacao, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ecuador. I think this is one of those groups where it's like the consensus number one. I think
Germany.
this is Germany's. This is Germany's best chance in the last couple of years. Obviously, they've had some disappointing group finishes since their win in 2014, 2018. I think they ended up being last in that group, losing to Korea and Mexico. And then
Yeah.
they scaved out a win against Sweden in the last minute. And then 2022, they did not make it actually because of there was actually a point in that group last year when they played their final games that Germany and Spain were going to be
Yeah.
which would have been insane with
Yeah.
Costa Rica and Japan making it out. That would have been crazy. But they ended up not making it out of that group stage. But I think this group here, I mean, if you're not making out of this group, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Ivory Coast had a great showing against France a couple days ago in their friendly. They beat France in that friendly, which they looked really good. But I mean, Germany, this is your best opportunity. You have a team Curacao who have never been in a World Cup before. They have no experience whatsoever. That's your first game. That should be a good start. And then you got Ecuador, who's a pretty underrated squad. With my boy Moises Caicedo on the team. But I don't know, man. I think this is Germany's group to lose.
Oh, absolutely. I think that like you just when you look at that group, you can't imagine Germany doesn't make it out with 9 points and a good goal differential there. Like it's just they're such a good team that there shouldn't be a game where they have really any struggle. The teams like Ecuador, I think Ecuador will give them a good run. That being said, I have here that I do think it'll be Germany, Ecuador that make it through that group. I think that there's enough strength and knowledge on that Ecuadorian team that like I think that they're strong enough to make it through. Do I think they'll make it much further after the group stage? No, probably not, especially as a 2 seed. But I think that group should be pretty well seated as Germany at the 1 and Ecuador at the 2.
I think I definitely agree that Ecuador is definitely one to watch. I personally just have it like maybe just like slightly edge. I believe in Ivory Coast. I believe they can
Hmm.
definitely, have a very good. They got some very notable players on their team, and I think that if anyone could make it, maybe even upset Germany, they definitely have some players on their roster that could maybe do that for them.
Not
Yeah, no,
true,
fair enough.
and Germany's playing Ivory Coast in Toronto, which is going to be a really good game that Toronto's hosting. So I'm looking forward to that one. Group F here. This is another interesting one where it could go any way. Netherlands obviously the favorite here in this group. But I don't think it's honestly not too obvious. You got the likes of Japan and Sweden and Tunisia, who's a little bit of a dark horse. They make some interesting games out of it in the World Cup and obviously with performances in AFCON as well. Um, I honestly have no idea. Like Japan and Sweden are very evenly matched. This could go either way between those two teams. I think it's pretty obvious, or I'm pretty confident that Netherlands will make it out of the top two. But the Japan and Sweden matchup is going to be really important and crucial to what happens here with the second and third seed. Purdy, what do you think?
Well, just to start off there, like you're missing just in that group alone, you are missing a couple big names there. You've got no Xavi Simmons for
Mm,
Netherlands, and that's a big loss. He destroyed his knee. And then you're missing Matoma for Japan, and he has been for the past couple of years, he's been a powerhouse in the Premier League.
hmm.
Correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong. That'd be, oh my God, what do you call him? Brighton Hove and Albion, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. So he's been actually he was on United's radar a couple of years ago to get their hands on because he is a very good player. So I think that that's going to be a big loss for Japan. I don't think that either of those players will necessarily make or break their tournament just because of the strength that both those teams have. But yeah, hopefully Zlatan comes back and plays for Sweden. I think that'd be unreal. But yeah, that's a really tough group. I do have what did I put down here? Yeah, I do have Netherlands and Sweden making it through.
Hmm.
And that's not to say that I don't think Japan won't give a good push. I think that Japan and Sweden are interchangeable there. But I think that like you said there, Ryan, like I think that just Netherlands is a little bit stronger than these other teams here, and I think that Netherlands does take that group. Whether they go 9 points or not, I don't think they'll dominate the group, but I do think that they are a level above Sweden and Japan.
Hmm.
I think that I definitely agree that Netherlands will probably most likely get out of this group, but I don't think it'll be easy. Like I definitely think it'll be
Hmm.
like a couple of points margin. Like this is a pretty group, especially between Japan and Sweden. I personally maybe just have I think just purely off what I've seen in previous World Cups, I think as a group, as a collective, Japan has shown that even if it depending no matter what nation they're playing against, they're always showing that they can rise to the occasion and just I think that's maybe my one reason. Just as a group, they look a lot better. Um, then yeah, sometimes I think defensively, sometimes Sweden looks a little shaky. So that's maybe my one reason why I, have them third.
Absolutely. I do think though that you just got to think about the names that Danish or the Netherlands team has there. Like, you've got VVD, you've got Dumfries, you've got Wout Weghorst, Man United legend.
Here
Like
we
just
go.
Of
those kind of
course.
Here
players
we
like
go.
just
Here we go.
like I can't see Netherlands, and I'm not going to say they're going to dominate this group, but I can't see Netherlands not being ahead above the other teams because I just think that they're well rounded enough and they haven't lost too many pieces since 2022 when they you know took it to Argentina there and almost beat them. But
Yeah.
I don't think that they've had enough loss in that lineup that they can't make a pretty solid push, and that's the only reason I would put them maybe above a Sweden or a Japan where they're just not as in recent times they haven't showed well enough to be. I can't be certain about them because they haven't been. They don't have the history in the last 5-10 years of really really battling like Netherlands has.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's pretty. Yeah, that's a good observation there. Group G. You know, I I really don't like this group at all. I think Belgium is just they've gotten so lucky in terms of draws, and like, the fact that they were world number one for like a good 3 years makes no sense to me at all. I think they're the most overrated team in the past like 8 years. Obviously since 2018 when they placed third in that World Cup, they've just gone downhill from there. And I don't get why they're so highly ranked, and they're still top 10 in the world. I think there's many teams that are better than them. But they got a really lucky draw here with Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. It's been very, very good for them, I guess. I mean, they're probably going to win this group. I mean, Egypt's pretty strong. It's going to be Mo Salah's probably last World Cup as well. You got Iran, who's pretty good in the Asian conference. They've done pretty well to cement their position here. And New Zealand, I think is this their first one? I think they played in other ones before. But they just lost a friendly on Tuesday to Haiti 4-0. So they're looking pretty abysmal. So I mean, I don't know. I think this is just a battle for who's going to be last. I don't really know. I don't really know who I think will move on in this. I think it's just whoever's going to place second and third and fourth. Belgium's basically got this group down packed.
Well, I wouldn't count
Yeah.
New Zealand out yet, just because have you seen all the stuff about Tim Payne recently on social media?
I have not. No.
No, so
No.
basically they've just picked one of the players on New Zealand, and I think it doesn't have much to do with his soccer abilities, but he's got I think 1 million followers on Instagram right now, and he went from like 20K to 1 million. So for that reason,
Okay.
you got to give New Zealand a little bit of chance here, but no, I don't think like Belgium should give up much points here at all. And I do agree with you, Ryan. I do think that they do have some big names, but I just don't think they're as good of a club as they're made out to be. It's just they're not as strong as maybe they were 8-10 years ago, and they've still got some good players, but I do think that Belgium wins this group for sure, but I can't see them being a semifinal or final team.
No.
And then I've got to go with Egypt for the second seed there.
Mhm.
Mo Salah's last World Cup, he's gonna put on a performance, and I think he will thrive against a team like New Zealand and a team like Iran. Obviously, Belgium is going to win this group number one, no doubt about it. But I think that Egypt takes your number 2 seed here, and I think Iran and New Zealand battle it out for who ends up with 0 points, because
Yeah.
that's that's the way I see that group going, at least.
Yeah, I was just having a look. Yeah, this is actually New Zealand's third ever tournament, World Cup.
Okay.
So fun fact there. But yeah, I really don't disagree with anything I've heard there. Like just straight, yeah. Like you got one of the best young goalkeepers in Belgium. Like I think if they even could sell you a couple, like it's pretty easy group for Belgium if they get to maybe top maybe through the 16th or top 8. I think that'd be a great for them. Will they get that far? It's to be seen. But yeah, I really do think Egypt have the right amount of quality around certain positions that they'll definitely they should be they should do well enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Group H. And you can start out here. I'll let you start out here with Spain, Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think Saudi Arabia has was there I don't know if he left, but their head coach was Inter's old coach. I don't know if he's still playing there. I have to maybe double check there.
I'll pull it up for you here, Aiden.
And,
It was Renard, but now it's Giorgio Stonis. I don't know if I said that right.
all right. All right. Okay. Well, then I would have said if he was there, then he's definitely someone we could watch out for. But
Mhm.
but having said that, I think this is pretty straightforward. I think you can maybe say that, Saudi Arabia definitely has the maybe power. Maybe they do have the Cape Verde definitely could maybe have a point here and there. But really, this should be a cakewalk for Spain and Uruguay. I think
Yeah.
really the Spain team is just like they're really well stacked out. Like they have great depth. They're definitely one of the favorites to go into the finals this year.
This is pretty easy group for Spain and Uruguay. Spain obviously being one of the favorites. Just like they have everywhere, they have players who can do anything really. Goalkeeper, defense, midfield, attack. They have everything you need. Uruguay's pretty strong as well. With guys like Valverde, they didn't include Suarez on the squad, which I was a little surprised about. I thought they would just, sneak him in there, even just to put on the bench. But I think guys like Valverde will really, really be really good in this group and just dominate against Cabo Verde, who I don't think they have a chance of even scoring a goal in this in those two games. Maybe against Saudi Arabia, but yeah, come on, let's be real
Yeah.
here. I
Yeah.
don't think they're gonna have a real chance. But congrats to them making it and playing 3 games. Cabo Verde, but I think this is a pretty obvious prediction here.
Yeah, I
And then
mean, sorry,
no, go
I'm
go
just
go 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 go.
gonna toss my 2 cents in there. I
Yep.
think that like when you just I think that Uruguay is maybe as not as paid attention to as they should be because they've got some good players. You've got your Palistris there, I believe. He's a
Yeah.
young guy. He used to play for United. You got Darwin Nunez over there. There's a good chunk of players on that squad with and hopefully a guy like Ugarte steps it up a little bit
Hmm.
for country rather than the way he plays for club. But I just think Uruguay is going to be a little bit stronger. I'm not going to call them my dark horse, but I do think that they're going to be a bit stronger than
Yeah.
people are expecting. And you can definitely cut down on the amount of yellows and reds you're going to get without Suarez out there biting people. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that obviously Spain is just such a powerhouse, but I think that Uruguay is pretty snug in that second seed, and I would like to see after the group stage how they end up doing, depending on what outcome they get in terms of who they draw. But I don't know. I think that Uruguay could be a potential dark horse for this tournament, just with the strength of the squad that they're sending out.
Yeah. Very true. Okay, Group I. This is an interesting one here. There's some strong teams in this group with we got France, another favorite in the World Cup. We got Senegal, a very underrated African team. Iraq, who surprised Spain a couple days ago in their friendly, drew Spain, and then Norway, who's obviously with the likes of Holland. Um, you got there too. So this is going to be a fun group to watch. I'm going to be paying very close attention to this group in this World Cup. I'm just going to go quickly here and say a crazy take. I have a hot take here for this one. I think Norway is going to be easily the biggest disappointment in this World Cup.
I agree.
I don't know
I
if you guys
agree.
agree
Without a
with me.
doubt,
Okay, I
without
like
a
that.
doubt.
I think they're the biggest disappointment in this World Cup. People are hyping them up so much just because they have one guy in in Holland, and obviously they have other supporting guys like Odegaard, and I'm blanking, but there's another couple guys there that play in the German league that are pretty good too. But they're just so overhyped because of Holland, and like you can't win with one player in the World Cup. You
No.
can't win games with one player. This is very reminiscent for me of Egypt in 2018 when Salah was like really good and he was like lighting up the Premier League like, oh shit, Egypt's gonna win every game in that group. And I think they ended up being last. I think they
Yeah,
lost all their games. So I think Norway is gonna struggle in this group, specifically in this group with France. I think they lose that game for sure. And then Senegal is really underrated. I think they do really well in this group. I think they get this. I think they get the second spot. And in Iraq, they showed some real good fight against Spain earlier this week. So that's another problem that Norway has to deal with. So I don't think Norway stands a chance.
yeah. Honestly, McCabe, that's this is gonna bring me to my dark horse here. Is Senegal? They are such
Hmm.
an underrated powerhouse. You know, you watch them
That's
in that whole.
true
You know,
winners,
there
you
was
know.
there was a bit of an AFCON disaster there with just straight corruption, but
That's
you didn't hear that from me. But yeah, I just think that like going into this, your biggest threat with Norway is just Holland and Odegaard. There's a lot of
Yeah.
solid footballers on that team, but you're looking for standout players, and the whole run for Norway is just based on Erling Haaland playing well. And there was actually something I saw, and Erling Haaland is predicted to be one of the guys that is running for the Golden Boot, and I think
No.
that's ridiculous. I can't
No.
believe that you would put a guy that's not like for a guy to win the Golden Boot, you gotta have depth and you got to be able to make a good push at it as well. And I can see maybe Norway getting a third seed and slipping in, but like you just like I'm not even going to bother talking about France because God knows France is just
Yeah.
levels above the rest of that group. But you know, you got a couple Mendy's on the team for Senegal. You got Diouf. You got like there's just a good amount of guys on that team that I can say with confidence are gonna have a good run at this. And so I think it's got to be France in the one seed for sure, and Senegal's gonna take that second spot. And I can't see Norway being as strong as people are really pushing them to be. And you know, I will say for your sake, McCabe, that they Senegal does also have Nicholas Jackson, and he's an okay
Yeah.
footballer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, he was pretty
and
good for
Sadio
Chelsea, and then
Mane.
they gave him away. Yeah, we didn't even talk about Mane. I'm pretty sure he's going to be on the squad.
He's This is his last one, I think. Like, I can't see
Yeah,
him coming back at 38 and playing for Senegal, especially when his career is kind of at a point where he's hopped over and is playing in Saudi Arabia now.
yeah,
I feel like he's kind of on that steady decline where he's, you know, not really making as much of a push anymore. But I think that we will see some good football from him, and like
yeah,
I think that Senegal is going to be a sneaky team here for sure.
yeah. And Ismail Assar, we forgot to mention, he's been really good for Crystal Palace. Just
Oh
won the Conference League
yes,
and scored
yeah.
in that final. So that's another great striker that they have in their arsenal. So that was a really good choice for Dark Horse there, Purdy.
sure.
Aiden, what do you think?
I definitely disagree. Wait, I was about to say disagree. I definitely agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, like yeah, Norway. They got some great players. They got Norgard. They got Damsgaard, Holland, of
Hmm.
course, Odegaard. Like they definitely have some strong players. It's really the defense. Like the defense is like
Yeah,
I think they're about to get cooked. It's
Yeah,
like it's like it's they're not bad, but like against the rest of the group, yeah, it's like Swiss cheese.
no, I'm just looking at these. Like Senegal's defense is really good. Like they're
it's
very
strong.
underrated
It's really
defensively.
strong.
And France, obviously, I mean, I don't even need to say anything. They might like put five on Norway. Norway's defense, it's. I could go on and on and on. Their second team that they didn't even add on would be a World Cup team. Players
Did
that they
you
didn't
watch
even
that
include.
match? Did you see that match? I don't remember who it was that they played with their second team, but their second team, the names on that team are ridiculous.
Yeah,
How good! Like
yeah.
it's gonna be
They could probably put three teams in the World Cup. That's
they
how
could
good they
Yeah,
are. That's how good they
yeah.
are. Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, France easily. I think I'd be very surprised if they don't win this group.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, for
and
sure. And
then
no,
and then let's move on to Group J. Group J and Group K pretty just I think this is very FIFA oriented. Like we got to get
Yeah.
these guys going. We got
go
to get
figure, right?
Argentina and Portugal moving up. They got to play against each other. I think this is like the groups that they have been given: Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. I mean, you got a European team in there, but like they're not the strong. They're like probably the weakest European team out of any of these teams in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Algeria is pretty good. They're pretty underrated. They're pretty underrated. I would say. And Jordan, I mean, I saw this clip of Jordan. They played a friendly against Poland, I think it was, a couple days ago, and the striker, I'm pretty sure he was the captain. He was like told them to press like on a goal kick or something, and then Poland scored on 3 passes. Like you just like they're horrible. They're horrible. So this is going to be very easy. I think insanely easy
Yeah.
for Argentina. I think they blow by each team. And it's I don't want to say it was rigged, but I mean, come on. Like what are we doing here? Let's hear the
Yeah.
thoughts.
Honestly, like it's one of those groups, right, where you look at it and it's like, who is gonna fight to make that second seed? Because this is a battle
Yeah,
of
honestly,
it's
honestly, the second seed is like the real like discussions at because
honestly.
I mean, like Algeria, Austria, like they're both very competent teams. I personally would probably just maybe put Algeria. I think maybe they're
Yeah.
just I think they just have the right amount of quality in the squad. But Austria's not no joke either. They're definitely like someone you can't underestimate.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't
Jordan,
know.
I think Jordan's easily fourth, but
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure. But I don't know how you look at this group and not think to yourself, this is truly battle for fourth. Like it's just
yeah.
Argentina is going to win this group, and then these other three teams are such a toss up. Like I just don't think that all three of those teams have the strength or depth in their squad to really be anything over, like make it through the first round. And it's crazy to think that, like, whoever comes out of Group J is gonna end up having to play a squad that finished first in their group. And like, how do you go about that? It's gonna be a bloodbath in the round of 32 because of the strength and or the lack of strength in that group there. Like it's gonna be whoever ends up getting the matchup with the second place squad from Group J. It's gonna be a dog walk for the first round. It's unreal.
Yeah. It's yeah, like this is truly a 48 team World Cup group if I've ever seen one.
Oh,
This is
absolutely.
what we will be
yeah,
expecting in the next few World Cups is groups like these. With Group J. And Group K is another example of that. Obviously I think this is another rig job for Ronaldo and Portugal. I mean, you can obviously say even if they had a tough group, I think they would win their group regardless. I mean, they're easily one of the favorites with that,
yeah,
probably one of the best midfields I have ever seen in basically all in their prime. Obviously, you guys know Bruno Fernandes, and yes, I know most assists in Premier League history in a season. But you also have guys like Vitinha and João Neves who are fantastic right now in great form.
Unreal.
Just won the Champions League, both of them. Um, and then obviously you have Ronaldo. I mean, like it's one of the greatest players of all time. You can't doubt that he will probably be starting in the games at striker, and they have a very strong defense, very good goalkeeping. I mean, Portugal is up there with Spain and France, in my opinion, as one of the ones to win this World Cup. And then you obviously let's talk about their group with Congo, Uzbekistan, who we mentioned earlier in the episode, and then Colombia, who are no slouch either. They're a very good squad. I'm pretty sure they're top 15 in the world right now, if I'm not mistaken. They're up there. Guys like Luis Diaz, who are very good guys, who's on Bayern, who has been very very
unreal.
informed this year, unreal player. Um, I think this is another group where we have a consensus 1-2. Um, 1-2. The Portugal Colombia game is going to be very good. I'm very excited to watch that game, but I think Portugal has the edge over that. But what do you guys think?
I would
And you can
definitely
start us
say
out.
like, oh yeah, yeah. I think I hold yeah, like I can't disagree with anything. Like I have Portugal as my personal favorite. I think this is probably one of the strongest Portugal squads we've seen in a minute, and like considering how informed the whole squad is, it's just hard to like look past it. Like I think this is the one year I maybe look and say like the defense and the midfield is just so incredible. Like the offense doesn't seem all that great. I think their coach is doing the right thing. They understand that Ronaldo's 40 years old. He's not going to be able to do what he did in previous World Cups, and I think they're probably gonna. I think I've seen from other competitions, they're probably gonna load manage him in certain games and maybe try to view him pretty sparingly in certain moments and or bigger moments, I should say. I think this is probably like this is definitely one of theirs to lose kind of competition, situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like the fact that you brought up the load managing there for Ronaldo, because I just can't see him being a guy that they can play for 75 minutes. Rather, why would you want to, right? In a group like that where, you know, your only battle is going to be Colombia. It almost doesn't make sense to have him playing more than he needs to be, and I wouldn't be stunned if he's coming off the bench for those games, or even if he's maybe not with the name like that, you can't see him not dressing, but it just doesn't make sense to be putting him through all that game time when he doesn't need to be. But yeah, I think it's a really obvious consensus 1 and 2 here. I'm just excited as the next guy to see another James Rodriguez banger. But
Yeah,
I'm
that'll be cool.
hoping that I can see it pretty clearly that it's going to be Portugal Colombia here, and with the strength of the squad that Portugal has, even you take Ronaldo out of the equation, they still have kind of that strength to be like, they are one of the teams to beat. You got Diego Costa.
Yeah,
Hopefully Diogo Dalot shows up for club and country, but just the Ruben Diaz, all those kind of guys. You got Arjao, like it's one of
Nuno
those teams
Mendes,
that
who's one of the best left backs in the world. We
Nuno
haven't even
Mendes
mentioned
is
his name. Yeah,
unreal. You got Mateus Nunez, like it's just Ruben
yeah,
Neves is
they're
in that
stacked.
squad as
They're
well. It's
stacked.
it's I can't see them losing. One of my bigger issues would be who are they going to start every day, because they've got, you look at it and their starters are just as good as their bench players, and their bench players are just as good as the guys that are going to dress, give or take a couple guys. Like it's just one of those teams. Like, Ronaldo. If you don't want Ronaldo going one day, you got Pedro
Yeah,
Neto, you got
Gonzalo Ramos,
Gonzalo
who's just
Ramos,
as good.
Yao Felix, Rafael Leao. Like it's just one of those teams that it's going to be. It's hard to see them losing anytime soon in this tournament.
Yeah, don't forget Chelsea's own Pedro Neto. Don't forget
I
him. He's
said
going
him.
to be
Don't
doing some
worry. Don't
damage.
worry.
He's going to
Yeah,
be
he
I
doing
definitely
some
mentioned
mentioned
them.
damage.
I mentioned
Yeah.
him. Don't worry.
Okay,
Don't
good.
worry.
Okay, good. All right, and then we got the last group, which is obviously the most important for this podcast. Me being a Croatia
Oh,
fan, Nolan being a proud England fan. This first game, man, is going to decide what happens in this group. I think we can both say that 1-2 is going to be England Croatia. It's just who is going to be that one. Um, but I will still stick by my country, as I am wearing the the Croatian Davor Šuker jersey. I am going to go with Croatia at the one. Oh, he's pulled it out. Oh, he's got the England hat.
oh, there it
He's got
is.
the England hat. I still think this is 2018 all over again in semifinals. I know you remember that day. It was a great day.
Settle down. It's eight
One of the
years ago.
best days of my life.
8 years ago. Fucking
Yeah, but one of the best days of my life. That was one of the best days ever. Going to the first one, actually their first World Cup final ever. Um, I think Croatia. This is Luka Modric's last ride. I think he's retiring after this tournament. The team wants to win it for him. They got some great young talent coming up with Joško Guardiola, who's coming off injury, who's going to be a very big help for them. Luka Vuskovic, who is very good, who is going to be. I think he's playing for Bayern. He's trying to get signed with Bayern, and like even Guardiola's also going to Bayern, so they might
Is
have
that confirmed?
Guardiola, Stanisic, and Vuskovic at the same time, which is an
Wow.
insane defense
Man.
for Bayern. But guys like Perisic, this is his last World Cup. You know, Kovacic, who's still pretty good. He's coming off a couple injuries, but he's been riding the bench a bit at Man City. But I just know Croatia's just such a people doubt them, man, and they continue to play well. I know you're gonna have a different opinion, Nolan, but I'll let you go here.
So the one thing I do want to point out, I think that fuck, where do I start with England, man? Like, just I I can understand the tenure, and maybe not the tenure with England, but just the respect that Tuchel holds as a coach. But what on earth is going on there? Harry Maguire has one of his best seasons. He's been unreal for the past, call it 18 months. No Harry Maguire. I can understand maybe not rostering Luke Shaw. He's older. He's a little bit injury prone. No Phil Foden. No Cole Palmer. No Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on at this point?
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
can't.
I was surprised they put Jed Spence on the roster. Like that was a guy who a couple of years ago was like
Unbelievable.
a couple of years ago he couldn't even get a game. Like he was playing on the beta squad charity match.
I know.
And now he's in the World
Unreal.
Cup.
Well, you got Jed Spence, you got Dan Burn, and I don't know how much I can back Dan Burn being on the squad. You got Madueke. I
Oh
like him.
God, just
He's
why?
but
Why?
he's just not.
Why? You're putting
No, like,
Madueke on the team over Cole Palmer and
it
Phil
can't
Foden?
be
Are you
done.
kidding me?
Like,
Like,
seriously? And then you got guys like Ivan Toney's on the team. He's a
that
strong
guy's
enough
been washed. That
baller.
guy's been washed
But
since
exactly.
2024.
He's been useless for the past 2.5, 3 years. And you're bringing in those guys over. Harry Maguire, who has been one of the best center backs in the Premier League. You got Phil Foden, like just all of these guys. Cole Palmer, he's had a tough maybe last 8 to 12 months. Just hasn't been
Yeah.
producing as well as he did for Chelsea in 24, 25 there. But I don't know. That one really, the roster doesn't fully make sense to me. It's a bit of a messes with my mind a little bit, but I do still think that England's going to have a good showing with a manager like that. Like,
Thomas Tuchel is like the perfect guy you can bring in for this England team. If they brought Cole Palmer, like all the guys you mentioned, I would have picked England one. But I think
oh,
just because of
absolutely.
that squad that he picked, I have a lot of questions.
You know what
Especially with this
though?
first game coming up. Especially with this first game, you guys got to play Croatia in the first game. At least you don't have to play Panama, or you don't play Panama or Ghana, where you can kind of like ease them
He's
into
in,
the big
yeah.
games. That's where I'm kind of like Croatia's got that set thing. They've had Dalic for almost 10 years now, and he knows the system. He knows all the young guys, like the academy guys. He knows all of them. He knows his squad. He knows who he's going to put in. The thing with Tuchel, he's new. He's brand new to this England team. That's why I'm a little hesitant. But I would pick Tuchel over Dalic all day in terms of coaching
Oh, and
for sure.
and then
Yeah.
I would like to say that I am forever grateful that Southgate's gone.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
it,
I'm for
it needed
sure.
to happen.
Yeah.
He had a decent enough run there, but just needed to happen. But yeah, I will give you my final prediction here. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna go England at the 1. I'm gonna
Okay.
go Croatia at the 2. I'm gonna go Ghana at the 3.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Yeah.
I it's a rough roster right now, but he's such a good manager that I can trust the process. And for
Mhm.
the love of God, it's coming home. It's coming home.
Aiden, your
Honestly,
thoughts?
I think I don't disagree. I think what Tuchel's system is, I think he's gonna try to maximize Harry Kane here. Like I would
Oh
not be
yeah.
surprised if he won the world. He's gonna get the Golden Boot this campaign. Like
Hmm.
this is definitely his year. This is definitely his tournament. Like if anyone was gonna do well, it'd probably be him. I definitely do think that Ghana is definitely, maybe have some questions on defense, but definitely a team that could get a surprise result here and there.
Yeah.
Um, I'm very interested to see how this Croatian team will definitely play out. I'm very excited to see.
Yeah.
This is going to be. I will definitely be. You'll definitely hear from me if something happens. I'm definitely
Oh,
hitting you
I
up
know,
first
I
person.
know, I know. Purdy, both you guys I always hear it from both of you. Um,
Oh yeah.
but I think Croatia, like in this competition, like this year, it's like the right amount of experience and youth coming together, where I think they can really be like successful this year. And I think they got very lucky with not playing a team like Spain or France in the first round in the
Yeah,
group stage. Spain rolls over Croatia every single time they play them. I was really scared about that. I think, no offense to England, but I think this was probably the best opportunity um, that Croatia had in terms of all the big teams um, that were in Pot A. Obviously, it would have been better if they got Canada or U.S. or Mexico, whatever. But I
for
think in
sure.
terms of those big teams, Canada, I think Croatia got a good one in England with the new coach and the controversial squad picks. I think they got a really good opportunity here to win the group. Um, so yeah, and I think that closes out. I think it closes out the group. Oh, I forgot to mention Ghana. I forgot to mention Ghana as well. They're a very dark horse team. They're very
Hmm.
underrated. I wouldn't be surprised if they give Croatia or England a tough game this year. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Um, but let's quickly go on to our awards here. This is where we kind of close it out here. So I'm going to start out with best young player. So I don't know. I can't remember what the age is. I think it's like under 21. I think it's like U21
Yeah.
or something. That's young player. Aiden, let's start out. What do you have? What do you have for your best young player?
This is tough. I had two players in mind. One of them, unfortunately, it got narrowed down. Was looking at Endrick and Carl from Bayern. This
Yeah,
morning, I think
yeah, yeah.
we got the news that he's got injured during training. So,
Oh,
and we're not sure how. I think looks like it might be something serious. I'm not sure if he'll be out for the entire tournament. So I definitely say this is a definitely great campaign for Endrick. Another one, I think another one to keep an eye on is Yan Diamande. I think this is a player that has a lot
mhm.
of hype behind him. Like a lot of teams are looking after him. I know United looked at him. I don't know if it's as serious. I think there's maybe more talks about Liverpool these days. But he's a player that I think a lot of people have talked about, but no one really knows him as well. So this is going to be a great platform
Mhm.
for him to, teams to really get a good eye on him.
Purdy, who you pick?
So I went a little bit of a different route here. I honestly think that, you know, it doesn't matter what club you play for here in this. I think that if you can get through the group stage, you can definitely be one of the best young players in this tournament. And so that's why I've gone with Artur Goulier. I don't think I've said that
Arda
right,
Oh,
but
Güler?
yeah,
Yeah,
Arda
Güler.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
he's good. Yeah,
I have a good amount of faith in Turkey, especially with a player like that. Helping run the ship, and I think that he's a good footballer. Like he just I can't my one guy that I really don't think, well, he could be all right, but I don't see Lamine Yamal standing out on a team like Spain. You've got so much depth, you've got so many good players that just I can't see him being the guy that just is the best young player in the tournament. I do also like Nico O'Reilly. He's the one of
oh
the
Yeah,
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 left
yeah.
yeah,
backs for Man City, and you know, given credit where credit's due for England, I think he's a good young footballer, and he's proved himself with City in the past couple months, and even a little bit longer than that. But I think that he's a player that can make an impact, especially in that back line. So I've got him as those are my two choices: is Guler and Nico O'Reilly.
yeah. I like that. I like those choices there. I was gonna pick Endrick too, but I kind of wanted to go a little biased here. This is gonna be my only bias pick here for the awards. I'm gonna go with Vuskovic as my best young player. I think Guardiola should have won it the last World Cup, but they gave it to Enzo Fernandez. He's my Chelsea boy, but I think it should have been Guardiola for sure. In that World Cup with how well that defense was against Brazil specifically in their quarterfinal game, I thought he was fantastic. But I'm gonna go with Vuskovic as my best young player. And then next we'll go with Golden Ball. So this is actually no, we'll go with Golden Boot first. We'll go with Golden Boot. So the guy who has scored the most goals in the World Cup. I'm gonna go with a off. It's kind of not really obvious for this award, but like it's like he's obviously he's the Ballon d'Or winner. I'm gonna go with Dembele. I'm gonna go with Dembele as the Golden Boot. You think of guys like Mbappe or Kane or stupidly Holland. I don't know why people would pick Holland, but
I know.
okay. So sadly, Nolan had to leave due to his internet connection. So we're just gonna continue on here really quickly with the last couple of awards. Not much left to go. But he did have let me just double check here. He just sent it through text. He did have Kane. Kane as his golden boot. With Alvarez as a good option. I was actually thinking about putting in Julian Alvarez. He's been really good at striker, and then Dembele Gakpo could be sneaky as well.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the golden ball. So this is going to be best player of the tournament. I think this kind of like coincides
Ooh.
with our winner pick. Aiden, you started off here.
That's a tough. So are we saying like with Golden Ball, is that like just the most like integral to the team, or is that like are we thinking like they
So like golden ball is like just like the best player of the tournament. So Messi won it last year, and then Modric won it in 2018, and then Messi won it
mm,
again in 2014. So kind of like the best overall player you think from the tournament. It doesn't necessarily most goals, most assists. Could be just like the MVP basically.
ooh, this
If
is
you're thinking
tough.
if
I
you're
think
thinking about it, I can start out.
yeah.
Think about it, I can start
Give me
out.
one thing.
Yeah. So with my pick, um I have chosen the golden ball. I've given it to Mbappe. I think I
Yeah.
think this is I think you know where this is going in terms of my winner. Um, but I just think in terms of all around player for France, he is the best. He's the best in terms of everything you can think of in that attacking third. Um, I think he will be more of a supportive role this World Cup, in my opinion, with Dembele and with other guys like Olise and Cherky and Due and Barcola, like all these guys who are supporting him. I think he'll be more of the supporter role. I feel as the new captain of the team. I think he will be the golden ball and he will just dominate that attacking third.
I would say it's I'm kind of weighing it up. Funny enough, I think they're both I think they're both kind of the headliners for the PFA. I would say it honestly is between Bruno and Rice. I think that those two have a very strong case for,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how their team, it's not, set in stone. Those two teams will get far, but I think if they do, it'll be on those two. Like those two will probably have a big part in those.
Yeah, I do like that. Bruno is another one I had in mind, just because of how good Portugal is, and them going far. Him winning the Golden Ball and what kind of form he is in right now. I think he's definitely a front runner for that for sure. Um,
Yeah.
Biggest surprise team. Nolan put down. By the way, Nolan put down Golden Ball. He put down. I'm pretty sure he put down Mbappe or Kane. So he kind of went on the double there with Kane. Biggest surprise, he put down England because he just thinks they're very slept on, and also Netherlands as well because they're kind of on the outskirts of the winners. I've gone with a deep surprise here. I'm gonna go with Ecuador here. I think the group that they have, the opportunity that they have in that group with Cote d'Ivoire and Curacao. I think they could. I think they're going to get second in that group, and they could make a push for that round of 16 or maybe even quarterfinal round if they get the right draw. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they make a push. So that's gonna be my surprise of the tournament. And who you got?
It's tough, you know. There's some strong teams. I think definitely Senegal. Senegal is one of those teams I think is definitely being slept on. Like, I think as a unit, they're way like maybe they don't have the biggest bright names, but they're definitely a group you can't overlook. I also think I don't know why I low key think maybe like just as a wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Algeria maybe gets a little far. Maybe
Hmm.
I don't know if they'll make it all the way to the top eight, but would not be surprised if they upset some teams.
That is a great choice. We were talking about that. That's like another opportunity that Algeria has in that group with Argentina. Not two definitive strong groups, not groups, sorry, not too many definitive strong teams in that group that will make a push. So they have an opportunity there for sure to make a solid run. Um, disappointing team. I think I already mentioned mine with Norway. Um, what's your choice?
I'm gonna be honest. This is definitely my bias. I've never been all that big on the Netherlands hype train. I'm gonna be real.
Oh,
I
okay.
would not be surprised if this is another tournament where they don't really pan out far. I think if they get in, within the top eight, maybe that's a successful tournament. Like I honestly don't see them really going that far. I think they have the right players. I don't know how far they'll actually go with the quality of it, if that makes sense. Like, they have
Yeah.
quantity. I wouldn't say they have the quality to get that.
Okay. Okay. That's an interesting one for sure. Okay, let's go to dark horse here. I know Purdy said Senegal, I said Turkey. Do you want to stick with your one with Senegal, or do you got a dark horse for me?
Oh, that's my Algeria pick.
Yeah, it's your Algeria pick as the dark horse. I like that. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll go with that.
Okay. Now the big one, obviously, the winner of the tournament. Who is your pick for winner of the tournament?
Portugal. I gotta. I
Oh,
think
very
they're just.
nice.
I think they're just too. I think they're stacked, man. Like this is probably one of the better squads they'll put out there. I also think that maybe this is I think like low key. I think is a factor that people maybe are pushing off the heat. The heat between like
Hmm.
the weather throughout the tournaments. I think the players that are used to playing in these kind of conditions, they'll probably thrive. So I would not be surprised if Spain and Portugal, probably one of those two, are probably going to get far because they're probably used to these kind of conditions.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. Portugal was like number two, like really close with me. I think there was the three with Portugal and Spain, but I think France is just
France,
like
yeah,
they're attacking. They have one of the best. Like I could go off. Like you can go Mbappe, you got Due, you got Dembele, you got Cherky, you've got Barcola, you've got I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting. You got Turam, you've got like it's just on and on and on and on. Like you
yeah,
can
yeah,
even put Griezmann in
Kunde,
that team.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Griezmann. Oh my goodness,
Yeah, you
yeah,
can even put Griezmann's not even on the team. You could put Griezmann on the team, and he would do really well because he's just so good for country. He's just so good. This is Didier Deschamps' last year as the French coach, so I think they want to probably get another opportunity with him before they get new blood in there as the manager. But I don't know, man. That team is just so good. They're so deep. They can they
yeah,
can they can easily make a run. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they ease their way into that final. France Portugal, if that's the final, a little rematch of the Euro in 2016, that would be so
yeah.
sweet. That like those are probably my two favorites, I think. Um, but I would love to see. I love that pick of Portugal. I would love to see Ronaldo get a World Cup. That would be
For sure,
like I
man.
think he has
That's
to
a
retire after that. He has to retire after the World Cup.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you,
He
you
had a
you've done everything else. You've done everything else that you need to do. There's no other thing to do. You know what I mean?
You think? Yeah. My only thing is like I'm a little worried. I don't know because I do question if maybe is he like Saudi Arabia because they're kind of counting his goals towards his overall. I wonder if he's still kind of chasing the 1,000 goals kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like he wants
Yeah,
the most
that is
goals of
true.
all time. So, but yeah, I definitely agree. Like if he wins it, yeah, wrap it up. There's
Yeah.
no better way to end it up. Like nobody, like
Play
no one's really paying attention to Saudi Arabia like that. Like,
no,
no
no.
offense,
But I
no
think he does. I
offense,
think you'll
y'all.
get a couple. I think you'll get a couple in this World Cup. I think you'll get 2 or 3, which will add to that tally. And then, I mean, play one more season maybe just to get that 1,000 goals. I mean, I don't know really other option he has. Like, I don't see why you'd play 2 or 3 more
Yeah.
years. Maybe just to play with your kid, kind of like a LeBron thing, where you
Oh
play
my
with your son.
goodness.
But like, I mean,
I mean, they're probably
come
a
on.
lot. They yeah, I think he did actually say that once in a quote that he was going to consider waiting for him, and they might allow that in Saudi at least. I don't know anywhere else would that do that.
I mean, they allow anything. They'll give Ronaldo $1 million just to put his son on the team. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's ridiculous what goes on over there. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to all the football fans who are going to tune into this one. I know we don't talk too much about it on the regular podcast with Holmes because he's not a big fan, and we got to make this special just like he made his Survivor one. We got to make it special. World Cup, biggest event every 4 years. Thank you to Nolan for coming on, even though with his internet issues. Thanks to him for coming on. Thank you, Aiden, for coming on for your first visit. I'm sure it won't be the
thank you
last.
for
We'll
having
have you
me.
on here for many more times. We're on all the platforms: YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all the platforms. We'll keep you updated with stuff going on with the World Cup and other sports, like on our usual podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching, and cheers.